We're going to take after these summer bloomers because they are in broken pots. So we've been there, we've done that, broken pot, repot. What else is new? Well, I am filming this because they are summer bloomers, and it's been a long time since I've repotted summer bloomers on my channel. And also because these guys have never ever left their pots in 4.5 years of their arrival. I'm not expecting any drama, but hey, famous last words, right? And I'm going to start with Phalaenopsis Yin's Black Eagle because here we have the Violacea variety Cerula with a wonderful root that is functioning, but it is wrongly positioned. So while I'm going to take this one out of the pot first, I want to kind of see if I can get that root a little bit more pliable. Alrighty. They've been soaking in water because they've just recently had a silicone soak. Let me get this out. If you have any background noises that you've got in your ear right now, especially if you're wearing earbuds, I am very sorry. It's a busy time beyond the hedge, especially right now. There's a trimmer going on, but I have to do this now because I've got other things to do later on. Look at this. What a shame. Okay. Well, let me just say at first glance, it looks muy shabby. Yeah, we're going to change it. You know why? In my opinion, that is why I'm filming this. Large and small leca combined. Summer blooming Phalaenopsis want to have more water. That's why very often we get them in sphagnum moss, and this is not the correct mixture of leca. Let's get the other one out. This is the Yin's Black Eagle. Now, I filled this pot all the way to the top because I've got roots growing around the perimeter. Let's see if they need a little encouraging. That wasn't too bad. Now, I have timed my filming to lunchtime. And the Spanish siesta is now a myth. It's official. Spanish siesta is a myth. Nobody should be working around this time, so if you hear about all our beautiful 2 hours of Spanish siesta in the summer, if you hear anything in the background, let me tell you, those days are long gone. Ooh-wee! Promising. Why do I say that? Because looky here. Oh, yes, that is the future. Never mind all this. Yikes. Also, a mix of large and small leca. No bueno. Not for summer bloomers in semi-hydroponics. If you're growing summer bloomers in semi-hydroponics, let me know about your mixture, what works for you, but also add into that the climate and the environment you live in, because I'm in a very dry climate. I have low humidity. There are some exceptions, but in general. So for my climate, small leca is best. Okay, while we deal with the happy eagle, we're going to let Violacea do her little soak and get that root. Let's see if it will work in our favor when it comes to potting her up. Now, I want to qualify something about the humidity I just mentioned. I average about 30%, bar any exceptions, but for the entire year. And that is why my leca needs to be small so that the roots have enough water around them, enough access to all that moisture that they require. If, for example, you have an environment that has 75% humidity or higher, I'm sure that a leca mix of large, small, medium would work absolutely fine for you. I doubt very much that you should have any issues with that. It is possible that pumice could also be a great media for semi-hydroponics and inorganic growing in cases of the summer bloomers, but I can't speak on that because I have never used pumice with summer bloomers. One thing I also want to mention is that I am impressed with the fact that the salt buildup was minimal. That is important after an orchid has been in a pot this long without a root ball cleanup. So that gives me a great insight for the next 4 years. Just kidding. I'm hoping that maybe we can address them again in 2 years because I would like to see them grow better. However, I have extremely challenging winter conditions. A wonderful new root tip coming here. So the challenge in my winter conditions is that my temperatures are far too low And then there is the risk of evaporative cooling, taking my summer bloomers down. And yes, I have lost some. These guys have so far managed to hold on, and I will do my best to keep that going until hopefully circumstances change one day. So I'm not too fussed that they haven't bloomed for me. I understand why they don't get the light levels. And now, so late in the season, they should be blooming by now. But as long as they're growing vegetatively, then I am a happy camper. I wouldn't ask any more of them. And we are going to also get that root to grow as beautifully as these two. Very promising. To everybody that grows summer bloomers super well, I know this must look very pathetic to you, and I get that, and I would agree with you. But for me, this is epic considering all that I deal with for 4 months, sometimes 5 months of the year with them. I'm just grateful. So this one here is all papery at the top, but look at what it's doing along the root, and we're going to maintain that. It is early enough in the day. If I get it wet, it should not pose a problem. That's why I need to get on with it, because it's early in the day. And unfortunately, there are distractions beyond the hedge that I need to address. So I'm using the same size pot. It is a 15 centimeter pot. It looks a little bit larger just because the shape is a little bit different, but same size. The only thing I'm changing is my leca size. From this to this. Now we're also going to get the perimeter roots into the pot, and they may fail because they didn't have that wet of an exposure. So I'll be aware of that if that were to happen, and I'm going to lower her to such a degree that the leaves are actually resting on the side of the pot, giving her a little bit more stability. Like that, you see? I can even let go. We don't even have to jiggle the pot. That is great, great news for those root tips in there. And that is thanks to the water. Just in case you're new to my channel, this is how I pot up my orchids. I put water into the pot and then let the buoyancy of the water gently distribute the leca within the pot. This is very, very kind on the velamen of the root system, which needs protecting. Even though we had minimal intervention, it is still an intervention after all. I'm just going to drain a little bit. There, we just buried that gorgeous root tip. She's done. Woohoo! Now, I did do a video about evaporative cooling, how it can be prevented if you can't heat your grow space, and that would also require a larger pot. The leca serves as insulation and all that fun stuff. I will link that video in the description, and I did contemplate putting these into the big pots that they were allocated for back in 2022. I know, my bad. I didn't get around to it. So anyway, the reason I am not actually putting them into their bigger pots is after seeing their root system, there's plenty of insulation around their root system in the same size pot. If they had been pot bound or anything more radical, I would have had the bigger pots at the ready. Now let's do our Violacea. My Violacea looks really poorly. She came as a discount orchid to my collection because these Cerula varieties, they are extremely expensive. So I thought if I want one, I'm going to go for a discounted one. She has bloomed for me. I have been battling stem rot, battling it. So far we're successful. There's not really much to trim off of this one. As a matter of fact, I could just leave it, but because it's so simple to get at, I'm going to go after it. And that's about it. That's all I'm doing. No more, no less. Because even though the velamen here is busted, look, it's active down there as well. So that's it. We're not doing any more on her. I need that one aerial root though. I need to try and get that into the pot. Let's see if we can. Oh, look at that. We are able to convince it. and I hope it doesn't fail. She is in active growth, which means the characteristic of the Phalaenopsis is also changing. It's possible that that one root could extend. I'm going to hope for the best. If you want to check out my video of orchid lingo and Phalaenopsis, then I'm going to link that as well in the description. There's some super information in there about how Phalaenopsis behaves and what purpose does it serve when the root stops growing, as opposed to what changes in the Phalaenopsis in order for the root to start growing again. Personally, I think it's a great video, and I'm not sure there is a similar one or anything that detailed on the tube, so I'm going to link that in the description in case you're interested. It is super useful, especially to understand the timing of repotting, even when you do not see new roots growing. If you can study and observe your Phalaenopsis and you know what you're looking for, you know that the next roots are imminent, and then you can repot even before they start. I don't do it all the time because, of course, being on camera and filming and everything, it really just makes more sense to show you repots where the roots are just starting to grow. Right, so because this one's got a little history with stem rot, we're going to be a little bit more careful with how high that water raises, no matter how early in the day it is. So I'll do a little bit of draining again. I would like her a little bit more in the middle, now that we've got the root in. I know she's not going to stay upright. My intention is not to have her grow upright. She can grow in any direction she wants as long as she grows. But that root is important. Let's see if my third hand can help us out here. And my third hand that I always refer to is the leca. Because once I get that in position, usually the orchid then plays ball, like that. Make sure that there's not that much happening around the stem, because the orchid is also very low in the pot now. More humidity. Only small leca, so I'm just adding layer upon layer of correcting the humidity, and I need to be mindful that now it could be a little bit too much. Now I have a good idea where that root is going to. So in order to safeguard against the orchid lifting herself out when I soak her, because you know, buoyancy, leca, etc., I've made a little bendy wire. I'm going to try and secure it around the root and into the leca, just to be on the safe side. Like that. This way I can soak my orchid, and I hope that that root stays in position. And we've got her nicely above the media. Maybe I can remove some leca that is just touching the stem. I think that's a better idea. There we go. 2 less broken pots on the patio. I am happy. Now, they live a shelf lower. It is a breezeway here on the deep south. They are in bright shade. There's a lot of airflow, and that should help with any of the misting or getting the stem a little bit too close to the water level, etc. Help all that dry out. I hope, despite it looking like a straightforward repot, that the summer blooming repot gave you some information that maybe you didn't know, maybe you hadn't thought of before. Maybe you can incorporate that into your growing of summer bloomers in leca and semi-hydroponics. I appreciate the fact that you stayed to the end, and I get to wish you a beautiful day, but I do attach a condition to that you stay safe. Take care. Bye. On top of that, not a single leaf was snapped. Result,